Farmweek is a production of the Mississippi State University Extension Service.
Today on Farm Week, it's a feature story edition of our show. We'll travel to the Midwest, where therapeutic horseback riding has found a new audience. It's being used to help veterans suffering from post-traumatic stress disorder.
In our Southern Gardening segment today, Gary says now is the time to make your landscape beds and make them to last.
In the food factor, it sometimes takes a leader to help you eat healthier. That leader could be you.
Our first feature story today will tell us how to raise wild turkeys by using the proper habitat.
If we can avoid practices such as bush hogging and disking or burning during the nesting season, say from mid-March through June or July, ideally we would cover most of the nesting season then.
Good day, everyone. I'm Leighton Spann.
And I'm Artis Ford. Welcome to Farm Week.
Today it's an all-feature story edition of our show.
Our first feature story is celebrating its 20th anniversary on Farm Week. Now, the information in it remains solid in spite of the passage of time. Turkey season gets underway this month in Mississippi and many other states. A lot of people like to hunt turkeys, but few people try to put the habitat in place to grow wild turkeys. They will flourish if you provide the habitat and use common sense. This story was produced long before today's high-definition TV, so you will notice a difference in quality.
It's an early March morning in southwest Mississippi. If anyone can lay claim to the thrill of the hunt, it's turkey hunters. They're eye to eye with an animal that has keen eyesight and clear hearing. They try to talk turkey by imitating its language while covered in camouflage clothing from boots to hat. When you're out in the woods hunting turkeys, it's easy to forget why the turkeys are there, or in some cases, not there. The reason is habitat. The better your land suits the needs of turkeys, the better your chances of having them.
Turkeys are creatures of forest land habitat, and over half of the southeast is forested. Much of that in private land, so producing turkeys on private forest land areas is critical.
Like many animals, turkeys need a varied habitat to be successful. They can live in hardwood or pine forests. With the increase in the value of timber, many landowners are cutting trees and replanting them in pine plantations. In the future, turkeys will need help from man in order to maintain their present numbers in Mississippi.
The key to having a good wild turkey population is production. We've got to have successful nests, and we've got to have good survival of the poults. And so habitat, proper habitat for nesting areas, brood rearing areas, feeding, courtship, the whole thing has to be provided. And we achieve that habitat with a good mix of forest land habitat and openings.
Stewart says turkeys can do well on land that ranges from as little as 15% open space up to 65%. Logging roads such as this one with wide shoulders can become important areas for turkeys to raise their young.
Turkeys will normally nest within 10 to 20 yards of an opening, a roadside or an edge like this. And we've got pretty decent nesting habitat here in this pine forest, although it probably does need a burn, and that will help open it up some and produce more food. So the hen will bring them from the nest out into brood rearing habitat, and they can pick up grasses, and the hen and the poults later on will use these roadsides to pick up a lot of seed heads that are going to be produced here with some of these grasses and different weeds like that. Some of the more favored foods would include hard mass like acorns in the fall and winter, green stuff in the spring and summer, seed heads late in the summer that you might find out in a grassy field. These are important foods, and surprisingly to some people, pine seed is a very good turkey food. So in years when we lose our acorn crop or don't have an acorn crop to speak of, then pine seed can be very important, along with nearly any year. Even when we do have an acorn crop, they'll use pine seed.
Stewart says it's important to put gates on logging roads to keep out traffic and thereby encourage turkeys to use the areas. In pines, turkeys prefer older, thin stands, which have been controlled burned on a 3 to 5 year basis. The open understory provides food and cover. In pine plantations, Stewart says research shows turkeys do the best in trees 2 to 4 years old. The main goal is to control burn and provide open space.
But if we can get into pine plantations fairly early with a burning and thinning program, provide some openings, some permanent openings in with that pine plantation, we can produce good numbers of turkeys and achieve our objectives there for the wild turkey as well as white-tailed deer and other species.
Providing openings for turkeys applies to hardwood forest settings as well as pine. This Claiborne County beef cattle operation is owned by the Covington family. It's 60% hardwood timberland and 40% pasture. Since turkeys nest on the ground, it's important to avoid mowing pastures or burning too early in the spring.
If we can avoid practices such as bush hogging and disking or burning during the nesting season, say from mid-March through June or July, ideally we would cover most of the nesting season then.
At the Covington farm, they wait until the latter part of June to mow, and even then they leave some pastures unclipped.
Well, about 5 years ago on the place, we went into we really want to make it look good, so we clipped down all our pastures, and which it looked pretty, but it was pretty detrimental to our turkey population. We noticed after the first couple of years that we were seeing fewer and fewer successful hatches, and we contributed to there just wasn't enough brood area. So that's what we did. We came back in and left some areas so that the hens would have places to raise their little ones.
If we do need to bush hog or clip a field during the nesting season, if we can leave a perimeter area around that field undisturbed, then that will also help us, because most of those nests will be around the edge.
Another way the Covingtons keep up turkey numbers is not to harvest every bird they see. No year-old males, known as jakes, are taken, and the killing of older gobblers is limited.
We don't kill any jakes at all, and on our big gobblers, even in those cases, even with 720 acres, what I try to do is limit it to 3 gobblers, and in special situations, if we see we've got plenty of birds, we will go ahead and kill 4 birds off here, but 4 is the maximum we'll kill off this place in any one year.
On this particular day, Covington called this jake in close before the turkey saw the Farmweek camera and decided he should go. Is the work to produce turkey habitat worth the trouble? For some, it is.
I get more pleasure out of just going out and listening to the birds gobbling and calling to them and watching how they respond, how they react.
From Southwest Mississippi, I'm Artis Ford reporting.
And you can watch this story again on turkey habitat on the Farmweek website, Facebook page, or YouTube or Twitter. The website address is farmweek.msucares.com. We'll also have links and contact information for public agencies where you can get wildlife advice to help you manage your tree farm for wildlife and timber production. And Layden, that story was 20 years ago, but you know what? I can remember all the details of getting there really early and, you know, just...
I can remember the story about those details. But it's timeless as far as the information.
It is a timeless
really.
story, and you know, with turkeys, you can have turkeys, you can have timber production as well. You just have to make some accommodation, and it will happen.
Well, it's time for today's trivia quiz on Farm Week. Last Tuesday was National Agriculture Day. Our question today is about agriculture's contribution to the Mississippi economy. We want to know, what was the value of agricultural production last year in Mississippi? Was it $1 million? $5 million, $5 billion, or $7 billion? I'll have the answer after today's Food Factor segments.
Now is a good time of year for us to make our beds. That's landscape beds. Extension horticulturist Dr. Gary Bachman with Mississippi State University gives us some tips on how to make beds that will last.
when you were a kid and you used to hate to make your bed every day? In the gardening world, you only have to make your bed once a year, and now's a good time to do it. Of course, I'm referring to your landscape bed, and here are some how-to tips. Some gardeners like to put a layer of landscape fabric down first, just like a bed sheet. This can be useful for weed control. After the bed sheet comes the bedspread, so for our purposes, we're talking about the mulch. Mulches keep the soil cooler in the summer and warmer in the winter. They also keep your bed neat and tidy by blocking weed growth. I prefer to use organic mulches like wood chips, which will break down slowly and help improve the soil. I really like to use shredded bark. This is sometimes called no-float, as the pieces have irregular shapes and tend to lock together. The most common type is cypress, but pine is also available, and both feature natural colors. Mulches are also produced with long-lasting color added, typically red, brown, and black, and this can create some pop for your landscape bed. Bark mulches should be replenished every year. Shredded rubber mulch gives you the look of shredded wood, but doesn't break down for several years, giving you maintenance-free mulching. So if you don't like making your bed every day, plant a garden. You only have to make your garden bed once a year. I'm horticulturist Gary Bachman, and I'll see you next time on Southern Gardening.
Gary says you can use a garden hose to mark out the boundaries of your bed. This will allow you to experiment with different shapes before actually starting the work.
Well, today we have not one, but two food factor stories for you. We all know that eating healthy is a challenge. The temptation to eat fatty, high-calorie foods is everywhere. But sometimes it's helpful if someone leads the way in eating healthy. In this week's episode of The Food Factor, Natasha Haynes with Mississippi State University Extension says you may be that person.
Have you ever intended to make healthier choices, but just couldn't find the motivation? Think of it this way. Your friends, family, and even your coworkers may see you as a leader. When you go out to eat with others, choose a restaurant that offers healthy options like grilled meats, steamed vegetables, and healthy side dishes. Then stick to those options. Instead of sugary drinks, order a glass of water and add a lemon or a lime for extra flavor. Take these same healthy leadership principles to your workplace. Be the person who brings fun and healthy food options to office parties, instead of adding yet another delicious but high-calorie dessert to the table. Making healthier choices isn't only about you and your future. Leading by example may inspire someone else to make better choices that will make a positive impact on their long-term health.
Is there any room for dessert today?
No, I think we're fine.
Okay, sounds good.
Believe it or not, people are trying to eat more nutritious foods and simply need a little encouragement. And that could be you. It's time to make healthy food a factor in your life.
Eating healthy is important for people of all ages, but it's even more significant for seniors. In today's second episode of The Food Factor, Natasha has some advice for seniors on how to maintain a healthy diet.
Here at The Food Factor, we always stress the importance of staying active and eating nutritious foods. But did you know this is even more important for seniors? As we get older, our sense of smell and taste may change, and foods we love may taste different. Sometimes medications can change our taste preference or reduce our appetite. It's important though for older adults to eat when they feel hungry. Recent research has shown snacking between meals can help older adults maintain adequate nutrition. Healthy foods such as nuts, fruits, and veggies, or yogurt and granola can keep your energy levels up and give your body the fuel it needs. And as always, drink plenty of water, even if you don't feel thirsty.
I believe I'm hungry right now.
Well, it's a good time to take a snack then. It's time to make healthy food a factor in your life.
It's time for the answer to today's trivia quiz here on Farm Week. National Agriculture Day was last Tuesday, so our question pertained to Mississippi. What was the production value of Mississippi agriculture in the year 2015? Well, the answer is D, slightly over $7 billion, this according to Mississippi State University Extension.
We're going to pause for a short break on Farm Week. Coming up, we'll have the Farm Week calendar and one more feature story for you. Our last feature today is about the bond between humans and horses. It's being used to help treat combat veterans with post-traumatic stress disorder.
There are some moments in life where everything seems to be just right. Time slows down, and memories are made that will last a lifetime. That is, unless you've got fire ants. Then those memories can quickly turn into nightmares. It's time to bite back, Mississippi. Learn how to make your yard a safe place to play again at msucares.com/biteback.
Now, before we get back to our last feature, let's look at the Farm Week calendar. Food safety professionals can earn the necessary certification to meet the new provisions of the Food Safety Modernization Act during a 3-day short course on the Gulf Coast. It takes place March 22nd through the 24th. The location is the MSU Coastal Research and Extension Center on Pops Ferry Road in Biloxi. The cost is $120 per pupil. The class is limited to 15 students. Register and pay ahead to be assured a spot. Certification will be mandated soon at plants where human food is processed. Landowners wanting to earn supplemental income from their land should attend the Outdoor Business Workshop. It takes place Wednesday, May 4th. The location is the Lexington Multi-Complex on Depot Street in Lexington. The hours are 9 a.m. to 3 p.m. You will be in the field, so wear appropriate clothing. Lunch will be served, so also call ahead. You also will tour a cattle operation that's earning supplemental income. Go to our Farm Week website at farmweek.msucares.com for information on these and other events. Now check out this week's Farm Week Snapshot.
Our last feature story today is about a known, accepted therapy that's finding a new audience. Therapeutic horse riding is certainly not a new idea. It's been used for years with younger special needs youth. The special bond created between rider and horse is now being used to help combat veterans battle post-traumatic stress disorder, or PTSD. Not many would take on such a daunting task, but the owner of one northeastern Iowa stable is helping both soldiers and special needs young people. Market to Market's Paul Yeager explains.
An argument could be made that horses, not dogs, are truly man's best friend. What animal has done more for us than the horse? They've carried us into battle, pushed civilization through impassable terrain, entertained us with their speed, and provided companionship when a person simply cannot. Today, these majestic creatures continue to provide these and many more irreplaceable skills. However, for some, the ability to form a calming relationship is their most indispensable talent. In Decorah, Iowa, Thunder Road Therapeutic Riding has cultivated this trait to help those in need. For 10 years, Michelle McLean has been offering equine-assisted therapy to individuals looking for solace. Whether treating multiple sclerosis, anger management, attention deficit disorder, post-traumatic stress disorder, or one of many ailments, horses can do wonders to provide peace.
Yeah, you're doing great. Equine-assisted therapy has actually been around since the 1960s. And the neatest thing about it to me is it's still grassroots. The first state funding I've heard of actually happened in Wisconsin.
Starting each April, Thunder Road provides therapeutic riding for youth in need through the Iowa Thunder Empowerment Program. Michelle sees every aspect of the experience as helping kids achieve a sense of calm.
Which part of it isn't therapeutic? First of all, it's sensory because you're brushing, you're petting. It puts you in the driver's seat that you have to calm them down and you have to remain calm, so you're learning emotional control. Because if you're not paying attention to what's going on underneath you, or you don't want to get stepped on, bit, or whatever, you have to pay attention. And that's what empowers them. So once they have that confidence, then that carries over into everything else they do.
And while participating in Thunder Road sessions has done wonders for the riders, the Empowerment kids are still kids who simply love interacting with the animals.
I want to train horses. Probably just the feeling about being around the horses.
It's calming, really. Just being outside and on something that also enjoys being outside. It's nice.
The other thing that the horses do for people is they listen, but they don't talk back. And if you're doing something they don't like, you know immediately.
While every summer weekend Thunder Road opens its ranch to children with special needs, Michelle has recently pushed to reach a very special group: veterans suffering from PTSD or post-traumatic stress disorder.
We still don't have the veteran that comes out once a week, but that's coming. So what we started with is we work with Disabled American Veterans Chapter 8, which is our region. I went to a DAV meeting and we all said, well, what should we do? What should we do? We should have an open house. What it did is it was the beginning.
In the second year of Thunder Road Veteran Equine Therapy Services, the farm was invited to the Iowa City Tea Tournament, an event which provides legally blind and eligible disabled veterans opportunities to develop new skills. That event showed Michelle the true power of her animals with a blind veteran.
I mean, our first year, we had a gentleman, he got on Lily and he didn't get very far. You know, Lily was shaking. So first thing I said was breathe. Lily started kind of relaxing and dropping her head, and then I asked the gentleman to pet her. And then I kept my hand on his hand and she started dropping her head and she let out a big sigh. And I said, before you get off, I want you to know you were successful. You got on, you rode, you're getting off safely. And he told us that guy was blinded in Vietnam and hadn't left his house in 25 years. So for him to even come to the tournament and pick horseback riding, oh my gosh.
From that experience, Michelle has expanded her veterans outreach efforts with an annual Veterans Affairs open house. This year, Thunder Road hosted various veterans groups, including local VA hospitals, equine-assisted therapy providers from Wisconsin, and various speakers detailing personal experiences with PTSD recovery.
I'm deathly afraid of horses. On February 17th, 2014, I had a friend say, "Time to conquer a fear today. I made an appointment for you at Trinity Equestrian Center just to get to know horses." Then in June 2014 is when I actually had the appointment set, went out, sat down, met with Tony and said, I need help.
Equine-assisted therapy has been nothing short of a blessing to former Army Sergeant Brandon Drost. After being honorably discharged from the military, Brandon found himself in the throes of PTSD, and it nearly cost him his life.
It's been a dark road for me for quite a few years. I'm one of those guys that tasted the barrel of a pistol too many times. I lost a marriage, lost a lot of my friends, lost a lot of my family members, and then somebody showed that they cared about me and wanted me to get better and kind of put their foot in my butt and got me to go.
Today, equine-assisted therapy has brought Brandon back from the brink, so much so that he's comfortable enough to share his story at Thunder Road's event, and he gives all the credit to his Wisconsin equine therapy provider and, of course, its animals.
Horses almost show the same emotions as humans, and horses, unlike humans, they don't have an alternative motive. They aren't there to get personal gain. What are they going to gain if I'm there or not? I've really just put the connection of they're not there for themselves. We're there together to help each other. And it's worked for me. I don't know. It's for life. It's my light on a dark day.
For Market to Market, I'm Paul Gager.
And you can watch this story on therapeutic horseback riding for veterans on our Farmweek website. That's farmweek.iowa.gov. farmweek.msucares.com. You can also watch Farm Week stories on our Farm Week USA Facebook page and YouTube. We'll have a link to the Market to Market website where you can see the original story as well as read the script. We're also available at twitter.com/farmweek.
And we are at the end of Farm Week for this week. On our next show, we'll have an inspiring story which illustrates the future of farming.
You'll meet two Missouri brothers who turned a 4-H and FFA project into the largest cage-free egg operation in the U.S. Their eggs even outsell the store-brand eggs in some locations.
In the Food Factor, Natasha will have some advice on keeping your cast iron cookware in great shape.
And in Southern Gardening, tree planting time is almost over. Gary will have some ways to get your trees started right.
And if you'd like further information on a Farm Week story or want to suggest a story to us, you need to get in touch with us. You can write us. Our address, Farm Week Box 9625, Mississippi State, Mississippi 39762. Our telephone number is 662-325-2262. You can also contact us through your county office of the Mississippi State University Extension. For the rest of the Farm Week crew, I'm Artis Ford.
And I'm Leighton Spann. Thanks for watching. Have a good week.